In 1944, the German Wehrmacht had the most sophisticated signals intelligence on Earth. They could crack the most complex Allied ciphers. They intercepted radio calls. They decoded messages in real time. Their radio analysts were among the most highly trained minds in the entire war machine. But there was one army whose radio calls left Hitler's elite decoders in a state of total confusion. It wasn't because of high-tech encryption. It wasn't because of machines or manuals. It was because of the snake's secret tongue. While the Americans and British spent precious minutes encoding and decoding every battlefield message using bulky mechanical systems, the Brazilian Expeditionary Force did something that, on paper, seemed reckless. They spoke openly on the radio. No cipher machines, no code books, just pure, unfiltered Brazilian Portuguese. And to the German analysts listening in on the other side of the mountains, it sounded like complete nonsense. You see, the Nazis had prepared for war by studying formal Portuguese. They knew the grammar. They had the dictionaries. Some of their analysts had even studied European Portuguese, spoken in Lisbon for years. But they were not prepared for a nation of continents. Brazil in 1944 was not one language. It was dozens of languages living inside one language. A radio operator from the Deep South would use words from the cattle ranches of the Pampas, terms that existed nowhere in any German dictionary. The next shift, a soldier from the Northeast would switch to slang so regional that even other Brazilians sometimes struggled to follow along. It was, without anyone planning it, a rotating code that changed with every shift change. But the real problem for German intelligence was the metaphors. Brazilian Portuguese, especially as spoken by soldiers from rural backgrounds, is saturated with expressions drawn from farm life, animals, and the land. Expressions that carry precise tactical meaning to the people using them and sound like folklore to anyone else. Veterans and researchers have noted that German intercepts from the Italian campaign were filled with transcribed phrases that left analysts baffled. Conversations about livestock, references to fences and fields, mentions of animals in pastures. What the Germans could not know was that these were not conversations about farming. They were battlefield reports, delivered in the only language the soldiers had ever known. Fast, instinctive, and completely opaque to anyone raised on formal European Portuguese. By the time German analysts could attempt a working translation, piece together the regional slang, and report back up their chain of command, the tactical moment had already passed. Here is the deepest irony of all. The Germans had invested enormous resources into Portuguese language propaganda targeting the Brazilians. They ran a full hour of daily radio programming in Portuguese from Berlin, a broadcast called Hora Auriverde, the Golden Green Hour, specifically designed to demoralize the FEB and convince the Pracinhas to abandon the Allied cause. They had the translators. They had the resources. They had the infrastructure to speak Portuguese toward the Brazilians. But they could not listen back. The formal literary Portuguese of Berlin's radio studios was not the same animal as the living, breathing, slang-soaked Portuguese of a 20-year-old sergeant from Pernambuco calling in a fire mission under artillery fire. After the war, American intelligence officers examining captured German records reportedly found something telling. Among the transcripts of Allied radio intercepts, the Brazilian calls stood apart, filled with question marks, marked as unclear, filed as unresolved. The Brazilians had achieved near total communication security, through nothing more than the power of their own culture. The Americans and British had Enigma. They had code books and cipher machines. That took years of mathematics to build. The Brazilians had the jeitinho brasileiro, their legendary, uniquely Brazilian gift for improvisation, for finding an unorthodox solution to a problem that everyone else was solving the complicated way. In a world of rigid systems, of encrypted machines and formal protocols, the smoking snakes had proven something that no military academy had ever taught. Sometimes, the best way to hide a secret is to say it out loud. The story of the Cobras fumantes is full of moments like this one. Moments where Brazil's greatest weapon was not its artillery, not its rifles, but the sheer unstoppable force of its identity. If this surprised you, you have only scratched the surface. Subscribe, because the snake is still smoking.